Okay, guys, let's talk a little bit about opportunities. Over the last couple years, I have had the opportunity to go through some suffering and some hard times, and it's really just helped me become somebody that I know I can rely on, depend on, and that's not really that bad at all. I realized that over these years, being codependent on having a relationship in my life, that I didn't even freaking do the way, like, basically, like, after I learned how to get single and pay my bills by myself, I learned that, well, it's cute. I learned that I actually really like it. And I would have not known that had I not taken that risk. And, most of the time we don't choose to just break up and be single. It's not what we do. And a lot of times we don't even want it. We even try to fight it, even when we have really good reasons to pursue it. We stick around a long time, way after we should have. And that's the complete opposite of what we say we're going to do. We always claim out loud, ask it if anybody say, like, oh, would you put up with this shit, when you were younger, right before you went through any of it, what would you say? You'd say, oh, hell no, I would never put up with that. Like, I would punch this person in the face, or I'd leave that person so dang quick, ice cold. Yeah, okay, just like Beyonce did, right? After her man cheated. You know what, even the strongest people, honestly, at the end of the day, don't really know exactly how they're going to handle shit. And we all have our different reasons for why we did things the way that we did. Beyonce didn't want her kids to grow up with separate homes. She's a strong and amazing woman, and she just did what she did. But, I'm not going to lie. Beyonce's a badass, and in my opinion, she could have done, like, hell no. She could have had anybody in the whole world that she wanted. I don't think that he should have been treating her like that, but that's everybody else's opinion, it's different. Either way, at the end of the day, before you know it, time passes, years pass, months pass, and 6 months into it, you were already noticing red flags about relationships, and this could be in work and it could be in personal, and it's like next thing it's a year, next thing it's a year and a half, it's 2 years. Like, I've gotten all the way up to 8 years, and I've had a couple 4 years. I knew in the first year it was crazy. Sometimes when we're not feeling like our highest or best self, we accept things into our life that are very, very, very low vibrational. Because what happens to us is it's a lot easier to hang around people that set very low goals, if any, people with problems, people with low self-esteem, because when you're in a room full of people and you complain out loud and you got low vibrational people surrounding you, they're going to agree with what you got going on. They're going to say things like, screw that person, you can come stay with me, or don't you even worry about that. They don't even know what they're talking about. But the truth is that they do actually know what they're talking about. These are your loved ones. These are your family members. These are people that know you the most, even at work. I can tell you even right now that not everybody knows exactly what they know. They don't know exactly what's going on all the time, but they can tell when you're acting different. Everybody can. And no, you don't have to express what you're doing or saying or feeling. That's your business. You are right about that. But the truth is this energy is quiet. Energy doesn't make sound, but you carry it and you put it out word every day. Your face expressions say more than the words that you select. Your tone of voice says more than both the words and the face expressions. So, you can use whatever words you want, but did you know your tone that you choose to speak in is actually the biggest noticing thing that anybody else hears or sees? People think that the words that they're using are what's coming off as the most important fact or thing. That's not the truth. It's the tone. Because listen to this, like, it's not your information, it's your delivery. It's a big deal. And these are facts. So I'm going to tell you two examples. Let me think of a name. I don't know why I always have to think of a name. Beth. Beth, this one's for you. Okay. Beth, would you mind going and cleaning up your room before we head to the store? That's positive. That's put out positively. Now do this. Beth, go the fuck up there and clean your fucking room. All you ever do is talk back. Now go clean your fucking room. It's disgusting, you nasty pig. Okay? That's the difference. This is a difference with tone. That was a little bit extreme. Sorry. You throat punch that person that talked to you like that? You don't let anybody talk to you like that, Beth. Oh, no. Oh, man, dude, that was really unacceptable. Like, exactly, that's how you feel. You're like, are you for real? Not like you just talk to her like that. That's what the difference is. You're like, hello, darling, would you go clean up your room, my sweet little chicken nugget? How about this one? I'll pay you $20 to go clean your room. That's even better. There's tons of ways that you can say the same thing, is what I'm getting at here. Now let's talk about tone of voice. Or sorry, face expression. Okay, let's say you asked me, what am I doing? And this is how I respond. Nothing. Did you need something? And they'll be like, yeah, are you okay? I'm like, yeah, I'm fine. Okay, that's face expression and tone. You're saying I'm fine, but you look like a bitch. And your tone sounds really rude also. So that's the 2 out of 3 that I'm talking about. There's 3 different things that are going on here. And you need to make sure that your face, your tone, and your voice all match up to what the message is that you're trying to speak. I know mine doesn't. I got arrested one time because the police said, did you do that? And I said, no. And they told me straight up, they arrested me afterwards. They said, you want to know why we knew you were lying? And I said, why? Like, I'm not even lying. And they said, because you said no, but you were shaking your head yes. Found out later that actual investigators watch body movements with words at the same time. Body movements are huge clues and indicators for the real message that's being sent here or not said at all. And one of the things that they specifically teach in investigation interviews and to officers is to specifically watch for their head to nod the opposite answer of what their mouth is saying. And I thought, I literally did that during that night. Another thing that you guys can watch for when you're doing communication with somebody is their body. Oh wait, I was gonna tell you another example. Okay, so you walk up and you're like, oh hey Tara, what are you doing? I'm like, oh hey, how are you? I'm good. That's believable, right? This one's not. I'm fine. Do you need something? It's literally the same thing, but like opposite. You're not fine. You're not fine at all, and it's obvious and it's noticeable. People think all the time, like, if they don't tell anybody what they're doing, and if they keep it a secret, then they can just act like everything's okay. And that might be before you came into this channel, but now that you understand the 4D, the 3D, the 5D, and we'll work all the way up into the 11 different dimensions that we're going to go through, because some of you may or may not know this, but there are 11 total dimensions, and the rumor is there is a self, our own self, 11 times on 11 different planets that is always going through something different. I have to look it up more, but I've heard this, and I forgot about it, and then when we were doing our 4D class the other day, it reminded me of the 11 dimensions, and I thought, I've heard that before, and what I heard was supposedly, like, there's 11 of us, like, our own self, there is 11 times, and they're on all 11 planets, one each, and what happens supposedly is that when this you is going through this, like, there's parts of you that on this planet, this you would be happy. On that planet, that you is stressed. On that planet, that you is married. On that planet, you might be going through a miscarriage. You know what I mean? There's alternating things on each planet at all times. And I'll have to look into it more because, who even knows what exactly this all means? But we're going to check that out. We're going to probably do a class on that here soon, like the 11 dimensions. Because I want to know more about that and what that means to us. Having 11 planets is one thing, but 11 selves? Maybe multi-personality disorder is a myth. You don't have multi-personality, you have 11 of yourselves. Okay, guys? So don't even let people be hard on you. They are so uninformed about the truth out there. Do you think God would give you multiple personalities? Like, could you imagine him making you like that? I feel like he'd be creating Monsters Inc. babies up there if he was literally putting that many freaking brains inside of a brain. You know what I mean? God, I don't. Maybe the devil would do something like that because he's funny. My dad would do something like that because he plays tricks on people. But God, if God's up there literally pranking people and giving you guys 11 multi-personality things to have to figure out, like, I don't think so. Maybe it's much bigger than that, you guys. Okay, we need to. All by myself. This is me thinking I need a different notebook to write a note on. I don't know if any of you guys have OCD or control issues or anything like that, but I do. I can't even have a paper in my file if it's like, if this happened. Yeah, right, bro. I get, dude, all I can focus on. Does anybody else feel like they can only focus on that curse lock? Look at that face. Okay, what's that? It's funny, we were talking about that, and this, here it is. It's the 4D. Yeah, we're definitely supposed to be looking into that. We need to look up all the 11 dimensions. I'm gonna put that there. We'll put it on the table so I don't forget it. 11 dimensions. So we can talk a little bit about the dimensions right now for what we know. 3D is us on Earth. It's materialistic items. It's people. It's things that are seeable and touchable. 3D is man-made, and it's man and woman itself. So it's on Earth, and you can see it and touch it, and you can also lose it. Oh, I can't wait to go backwards to figure out what the frickin' 1D and 2D is. Dude, this is just so cool. Anyways, so 3D is Earth, us, blah blah blah, living on this whole little frickin' thing. When you get to 4D, you are advanced mentally, spiritually, and emotionally more than most of the people that you see around you. Very small groups of people enter the 4D at the same time, and they all go in, you know, at the pace of their maturity and growth and accountability and understanding of the different circumstances that they went through. You can't get to the 4D if you're in blamer mode. You can't get to the 4D if you still are angry about things that have happened to you without, like, being open-minded about the fact. You have to at least be like, you know what, I understand that something, you know, inside of me needs to be worked on or addressed or changed, and then maybe I will start to see things from a different point of view and understand and become more healthy. As long as you're in this mode where you're like, Martha did this to me and that's why my life has been screwed up since. Ever since I got that divorce, you know, that fucked me over and everything's just been so bad for me. Or, you know, they took my kids or whatever they say. Like, my kids are gone too. My mom has them. Trust me, dude. I spent many nights and days freaking hating that motherfucker. But I don't now. I see that, you know what, to be honest, even if she did do whatever the heck I feel like she did, the truth is, like, nobody stopped me from doing the right thing. Why didn't I get better? Even though everybody can supposedly mess us all over, the truth is like, if they weren't messing you over, you'd have a lot different of a reaction. Like, if you weren't doing things wrong, you wouldn't be defensive as much. And I know me too. You're hurt. You're angry because you have the right to be, you know? I mean, every one of us has the right to be hurt and angry about it. Things that we went through. That's fine. But are you just staying in that feeling, or are you actually just, like, are you working through the different emotions, and do you know how to do that? Let me see. I'm going to see what we can find here. I've never actually Googled it. I just kind of know. Hey Google, being that anger is a secondary emotion, how do I start to work through my feelings properly? Anger is a secondary emotion used to mask feelings of other emotions. If you're trying to cope with anger through drugs or alcohol, you need to call a support center because they're there for you. Frustration is a secondary emotion. It's often experienced when you are feeling helpless or out of control. Over time, this emotion can cause your mood to slow until reaching an angry state. When anger happens, you might respond to your frustration in ways that feel good at the moment, but are not healthy. Next thing you know, we're kind of having a decent time, being all fine, having a good time, and then since we are actually expressing ourselves in a way that we don't really understand at the moment, we're thinking we're going into screw you zone. When somebody makes us mad, we definitely go into fuck off mode. And then we're like, you know what? Okay, you want to play me like that? You want to do it like that? Okay. You're about to get yours, dude. And then we do what? We do whatever we've been wanting to do. We go and hang out with those people we weren't supposed to do. Like, basically anything that the other person said don't do, oh, they're about to get. They're about to get thisness. You're like, you better watch your back, your side, your face, and your freaking next lifetime, dude. I'll be there waiting for you as soon as you're born. I'm your doctor. Like, that's what you're like. Okay. Now. Alright, so it's clearly just talking about how anger makes us act in ways that we are not proud of. And we all know that. I would dated somebody who was a real sweet person, a Sagittarius. Great man. Took care of my kids. Like, he literally was 19 years old when I met him, and he took care of my kids. Like, my kids haven't always not lived here, and I have always been able to see them back and forth. So the entire time we were CPS involved or going through any of our services, he legit, at 19, just took on my kids. That's why I love Zeke. I'll never, ever, ever not love Zeke so much for that. He was a crazy ass bastard. He was a native, and obviously he was like, a freaking powwow every time he had 29,000 beers, because, like, I don't even know where he could fit all of those beers, but, he did somehow fit those beers everywhere inside of him. And when you are with somebody who drinks a lot and is also a native, it's unforgettable, to say the least. And I'm just really honestly glad we're not together anymore, but I do love him, and I'll always be grateful. I would say if I ever won the lottery, I would give him some money, but I don't like his new girlfriend because she's money hungry and she's greedy. And so I'd have to wait until, like, maybe his new babies that he had with her turned 18, and then maybe I'll give them the inheritance, because, I do love them too. It's just, like, too bad, you know what I mean? At the end of the day, when we express anger, we actually are putting this energy outward, and we're attracting people in our lives that could be like his new girlfriend. Somebody that doesn't cook or clean and doesn't let him go camping or go to the hot springs, and she hates nature, and she wants to spend all his money on eyelashes and tattoos, face tattoos, neck tattoos. He doesn't even like that, but you know what I mean? That's what we get when we don't actually express ourselves in the correct ways. We get in these situations where we act in ways that we're not proud of, and then we get results that we actually regret having in our lives. And Zeke doesn't regret having his kids. He loves them. But what he did do was manifest somebody in the same state of mind that he was when he left. Angry, hateful, mad, and coping. He didn't know it at the time. I was working in Alaska. I was paying all the bills from the boat. Well, I thought. Come to find out, $4,000 or $5,000 came up missing. And he wasn't answering his phone and just, weird shit. And so, I don't know, just asked him, are you seeing somebody or something? I didn't even know my money was actually not being put towards bills. He had taken my money that I was working for on the boat and spent it on dates for this little frickin' chick. And then they came and stayed at my house. She even had her little kid sleeping in my daughter's room upstairs. And when I would call, she would actually try to answer the phone and talk on Zeke's behalf. She would say things like, I'm finna put my kid to bed, something that you obviously don't do. Bitch, I'm at work paying for the electricity in the house that y'all are putting your kid to bed in my daughter's room of. Like, you're a weirdo. This chick legit slept on my pillow in my room, and like she didn't even care that she was in another woman's house the entire time. You know what she told me? I like legit text her because like obviously who in the hell would not, nobody would be okay with that except for Brooke. Apparently, don't date a Brooke ever, dude. I accidentally named one of my daughters Brooke. I regret that. Might be that's even a bigger regret than any of my exes, just because like I know what Brooks are capable of. But I'm sorry if you're a Brooke. Uh, you should change it to Brooke and Nina so you can like have some Tech Nine in there or something. You need to switch it up a little bit. You do not want to be in the Brooke gang. But anyways, when I tell Brooke, you cannot stay at my house. Like, could you please like go get a fucking life, you moochin' little finna. It was like, what does finna mean? I didn't even know what finna mean. Like, because we were like legit catching fish on the boat called Yellowfin. So that's the closest that I've ever heard of a finna. I had to actually look her up, which I hadn't done because I'm not even the type of girl that stalks other girls. I'm the type of girl that girls stalk. And they are laughing because they think they took something of mine, but then they realize that I'm fine with whatever they have and I don't want it back, and I'm grateful. I'm like, thank you. Anytime a girl has a problem with me now in the future, I'm going to actually pretend like I really like something that I don't and let them take it out of my life. And I'm going to laugh my balls off. Anyways, this girl tells me that she really doesn't see a reason why she can't live at my house while I'm out in Alaska because it's so far away. And there's like no reason why she can't just stay here when there's not even anybody staying here too. I could think of a fucking lot of good reasons. So, you know what? I had to make the best of it. I was not able to get off that boat for 120 days. I was stuck out on that ship. Because that's what the contract was. So for 120 days, another woman with my man was in my brand new house that I had just bought, dude. It was really fucked up, dude. I'm not gonna lie. I got so sad about it, to be honest. I was very tired on that trip, more than usual, and I never felt like that prior. And that trip in particular, I kept having to take naps all over the boat in weird places. It's not allowed. I was up in the attic sleeping in this weird shit, and I would go into the bathroom and lock the door and just take a little nap. I told myself 20 minutes, but in particular, what I noticed about that trip was how exhausted I was. I was very exhausted, and it was because my emotional attention was going towards things that were taking me over, dude. So I decided at one point on that trip, while I was doing dishes one night, and all the boys were watching Mrs. Doubtfire in the lobby, in the galley, sorry. And I had my back turned towards the TV, but I heard Miss Doubtfire start talking about mommies and daddies, and sometimes mommies and daddies don't always get along, but it's so important for them to get along for their children. And it's like basically that moment where they see Miss Doubtfire on TV and they feel real bad about the fact that they're fighting and separating and everybody else is involved in it. And I just made a post on Facebook that day. And I congratulated Zeke on his new relationship. And I spoke highly of him. And I just said, you know what? Zeke has been such an amazing person to my kids and in my life. And, honestly, I'm just really happy for the two of you. And, carry on with your life. I let it go. Because I thought to myself during that day, what are you mad about? Honestly, what are you really mad about? Like, you and Zeke have not been happy for years. You don't want to get back together. And even though, there might have been a couple things, about the way that it went down that I didn't care for, but that was just because it offended me or it bothered me. But overall, to be honest, there was really no reason why him and I couldn't move forward in individual ways. I found out that day that the reason for why I was so upset was because I had no control over a situation that I was angry about anymore. And if you guys just sit there and you think to yourself, like, do you want this person for the rest of your life? If you had the skills or the strength to actually say bye-bye, would you say, if you had all these lineups of dudes and all these kinds of styles and of women and You knew their different qualities, their features, their availabilities, and they all lined up and they were like, you can have any one of us. Would you choose your person realistically? And they said, if you want us, we will erase all the memories, the pain, everything you've ever felt. You will no longer feel nothing. It'll be gone from your mind, like Men in Black. And if you had that opportunity, like knowing how whoever you were with and you were together on the real, is that love? Is that health? Is that divine? Is it? If it is, do your thing. But I don't think you'd be here if that was how you felt. And it's okay, because that's why I really love tarot. Is like, for once in our freaking life, we don't have to tell people what we feel. I'm telling you now, but it took me, I'm gonna be 30. I don't want to tell you. I'm 21 this year, so I mean, it's been 21 long years of me just having to be so damn smart, and it's not been easy, Every time I turn 21, I get a little bit smarter. My favorite number, and I don't know why I even call this my favorite number, but I always say that I pretty much kind of stopped at 14. It's kind of sad, honestly, if you knew why. My sister died when I was 14. And they say that when something traumatizing in your life occurs, that your body and your mind stops developing after that. And that must have been definitely for me a moment where I just began to change directions as far as my development went. That was the year that that's the year I met my son's dad, and, I didn't get pregnant until my senior year, but I went from being just a sibling in a house and having kids around me that were my brothers and sisters and us fighting like normal people. We did not have our dad there. Only our mom. And we were all there too. But it was just a lot of hard work all the time, and it was emotional stress, and it was a lot. And some of you guys, you go clear back into those times of your life when you're thinking more than you'd realize, deeply about the things that are bothering you. And, it'd be hard for some of us to be like, is this seriously coming from my parents, divorce, or from this death, or maybe you and your brother had a big disagreement and you haven't talked for years, it could be whatever. But yeah, you're damn right, it bothers you. How would it not? You don't just lose things in your life that you love and just move on. I know that we wish we had the skills to just forget and move on, but we're not psychopaths. We're empaths. Psychopaths and nobody that wants to just move on and forget cares about it enough to remember. That's the difference. You're not like that. And the skill that you have when it comes to caring and to crying and to feeling, it's a good thing. That's your divine and your spirit inside of you. And if you lost that, if you notice you don't care, then you're fucking getting worse. You know what I mean? You're not getting better, you would be getting worse. You don't not care when you get better. You actually just don't get involved. You do care. You care a lot because you see what they're going through now. And you're like, holy shit, and not only did they need more help than I could have ever offered, but this person is going through so much messed up stuff, dude. They needed so much help. You'd feel bad, honestly, for actually thinking this person had the ability to live up to the expectations that you had for them at one point. Once you advance, once you grow, once you learn what you're looking at here, you'll see you were wrong. And that's going to be better than you thinking this person was lazy or this person didn't do something. To be able to grow up yourself and see that other people were too immature at the time, they didn't have the skill, they weren't willing. There's 3 things that stop somebody from doing something: skill, will, or heal. If it's a skill, we need to teach them if they're willing to learn. If it's a heal, there's an obstacle in their life that they need to remove or overcome. And if it is a will issue, they're not willing at the time. They have to be willing to learn, willing to do it, and be able to have the things in their life that are removed, they needed those things removed, or they needed some sense of like understanding or directed in the right direction, so that they can heal this anxiety and stress within themselves in order to concentrate on physical goals. Emotional definitely comes first. If you are going through a lot of messed up stuff and you're coming out of a situation where it requires like total change, go get the help that you need and start with a part-time job. If you guys go to WorkSource, they have tons of different 6-month programs for people that are coming out of like addiction and CPS and all that stuff. It's called Career Path, and they're amazing. They got me a job at the American Diabetes Association and the WorkSource office. At the WorkSource office, I became familiar with all the resources available in our entire state. And I just became more confident in who I was. I felt like I could tell people that I was no longer, a criminal or a drug addict, and that I worked at the DSHS office. And it was true. And it was crazy. I couldn't believe it. What about the American Diabetes Association? All of a sudden you put a name on it and you sound a lot more important. You sound good. You sound like somebody who does good things for the community. You go and say, oh, I'm over here, I work at Jack in the Box or whatever. People are just going to assume that you're an adult who works at fast food. And wherever you begin to start is fine. But as long as you're setting goals, working towards being better, bigger, and more, then you're growing. And you should always be growing. They say if you're comfortable and you're just chilling and you're not doing anything and you're just fine with how things are and you just remain there, you're not growing. You're not doing something right. Real leaders like to switch it up suddenly on you, and they do this. If you have somebody that just does some weird switching around on you out of nowhere, they do that because they want to see how much skill you have when it comes to basically things happening suddenly. They want to see what is your reaction skill level. How can you handle it if it's a surprise? Like, are you really as strong as you say you are? Can you handle anything and everything? They're training you, honestly, for greatness. So anybody that's hard on you, that keeps pushing you to do better, do a little bit better, do a little bit better, and you're like, I'm doing the best I ever did. They see you. They see you here. They see you somewhere you've never seen yourself before, and just trust them. They're taking you where you need to go. And you're only going to have this like chapter or this moment with that person. Respect whoever it is who is teaching you how to grow, because they care about you. They care about you like nobody else you've ever had in your life. And they would never not care about you, and they love you very much, okay? Love you. Psh.